When I was about 3 years old, my family and I flew out of town to visit my aunt and uncle in California. During this trip, my parents took me to a rather large children's playground that vaguely resembled a maze. It didn't take long for solving mazes to become an obsession of mine during my early childhood years. When I was in kindergarten, instead of taking naps like the rest of the kids in my class, my teachers let me fill out puzzle books instead. A few years went by, and I became a fan of the large hedge mazes at the St. Louis Botanical Gardens and Hawaii's Dole Plantation Pineapple Garden. Even after this obsession had faded away, some video games I grew up playing that I still enjoy to this day focus on using my brain. Some notable examples include Professor Layton and the Unwound Future, Scribblenauts, Peggle, Angry Birds, the Portal series, Bejeweled, and Mario vs Donkey Kong Mini Land Mayhem. Anyways, it wasn't until over half a year ago that I heard about the game Labyrinth City. Pierre the Maze Detective through an Irish YouTuber named Dahiden Ogla, who promoted it in the intro to his Modern Warfare beta footage video.
It's Ty here and welcome to today's video, which is sponsored by Labyrinth City.
Because of the sheer number of mediocre companies that sponsor tens of thousands of YouTubers, I've become hesitant when it comes to actually checking out what they are selling. However, it only took a few seconds of gameplay for me to start tearing up when I realized this was the video game version of a childhood pastime that I had neglected for almost a decade and a half. Without a moment's notice, I bought the game on Steam for $11 and installed it. One trend that I'm going to set with reviews going forward is starting off by listing the positive parts of the game. I'd recommend grabbing a bowl of popcorn and settling in, because we're going to be here for a while. For starters, although the hand-drawn art style might disappoint some of you, I can almost guarantee that an overwhelming majority of people will praise it for perfectly replicating a piece of their childhood. For those of you who've never heard of Wimblebuilder, it's a genre of wordless picture books that look like what would happen if you gave the author of Where's Waldo an endless supply of meth and locked him in an art studio for 20 years. What I'm saying is that there's a level of attention to detail that could never be replicated by AAA developers. Every level in the game is quite literally filled to the brim with charming animations, areas to explore, and things to interact with. Additionally, there's an astounding amount of things to collect, ranging from hidden sets of stars, pieces of paper containing notes about Mr. X, trophies earned by completing various challenges, and chests that contain little trinkets. There's also 41 achievements to unlock, which mostly require you to find every collectible in a specific zone, or interact with certain objects several times. Another thing I really like is that the difficulty is absolutely perfect, in the sense that there's very few opportunities where the game holds your hand, or goes out of its way to frustrate you. One thing that makes the game easier and more enjoyable is that each area will have a few NPCs that will reveal giant arrows showing where to go when they are interacted with. However, like all mazes, there will inevitably be obstacles to avoid. One unique type of obstacle involves Mr. X's minions. As you progress through the game, they'll start becoming more and more sophisticated and elaborate. Some of them open up passages that can only be navigated one way, some operate on cycles, and a type I really like is a flat cardboard cutout of a goon that can be walked over. Lastly, although the levels themselves are quite long, the game wants you to explore as much of it as possible while you're getting from point A to point B. I'm aware that walkthroughs of the game exist, but I guarantee you won't need one. Even if you get lost, you very likely won't be for long. I managed to beat the main game in about 4 hours, but believe me when I say that you'll cherish every second you spend. In terms of the negatives, there's really not a whole lot I can criticize the game for. The controls are pretty good for the most part, and aside from some minor navigational hiccups, it was pretty smooth sailing. There were points where I had to reset the level because I trapped myself along a specific route, but this was mostly my doing and isn't the developer's fault. Here's some suggestions I have that would make this game even better. First, adding a restart from checkpoint option in the pause menu would be great, since exiting to the main menu and hitting continue is a bit of a pain. Next, a co-op mode that utilizes Steam's remote play feature would be really cool. Some ideas I have would be that each player can show how to get to their teammate by revealing a path along the ground. Both players would be able to navigate on either one screen or their own devices, or adding some sort of competition focused mode where each player tries to complete the maze faster than their opponent. Finally, this game isn't very friendly to computer mice in my opinion. I think some ways where the mouse can be put to good use would be allowing the camera to zoom out further, enabling the mouse buttons to draw out routes, or allow the player to use it to navigate the world, or interact with things like how RuneScape does. To wrap up this review, I'd say that this is easily the best puzzle game that I've played in years. Everything from the nostalgia factor, to the vibrantly busy environments, to the cute and engaging story, make this not only a graphical marvel, but also a damn good game in its own right. I look forward to the mobile release of this game, where I'll be able to continue to have the same experience on the go. Lastly, I'm very grateful to Nogla for allowing me to relive a piece of my childhood, and finally feel happy, during the roughest year and a half of my life. I'll start taking your game recommendations more seriously in the future.